Howdy there folks, good evening and welcome back to another stream with me, Fluent Code, here live on Twitch and YouTube. Excellent, welcome back. Another day, glorious day today, Saturday, been beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Here we go, I'm going to need to watch this because my, clearly my ad thing is telling me to do an ad within the first 5 minutes or so of the show starting, and that's when I kind of go live. So yeah, need to figure something out there. Now, progress has been slim. We've been up to a few things today. So I had hoped to get some base coating done, to get some undercoating done. However, we've sort of taken a bit of a pause on that. I did manage to get some basing done. So all of my little dudes have sand and some shale added to the basing. This is a little bit more than what your regular second edition base would have been, and I know Heresy and all the rest of it, I am actually going to end up adding some grass tufts and what have you on there as well. I'm not sure what colour our base rims are actually going to be in the end. I don't know whether we're going to have goblin green. If I'm honest with you, I am, heresy as it may be, I am thinking that goblin green is not the way forwards for this army build. So yeah, like I say, we've added some shale on, some just some little rough patches of it, as well as the sand that we've put on all of the bases. It's quite fun, actually, quite good fun to do. We're gonna, when we hit that with a coat of spray, that should hopefully get a fairly decent texture still. Hopefully it won't fill in too much of that detail. Thank you. So anyway, the plan is to finish this guy with his helmet tonight. And to that end, you will see over here a brand new, fresh, magical wet palette. I mean, I've only gone and done it. I've only gone and moved into the modern age of these things. Yeah, we've got a wet palette going. Oh, maybe too wet, in fact. I don't think so. I think we'll be all right, actually. Yeah, we've got a wet palette going, along with our brushes. We have brushes here, look. As well as our regular old faithful brush, this one here. I don't know quite what is actually up with this guy. But he has kind of lost it over recent. Yeah, I think this guy is probably done. Don't think there's going to be much saving this guy. Oh, I don't know, he's still holding a little bit of a point, but as soon as you put that in contact, yeah, look, you can see you've got this sort of splaying going on, which isn't great for any brush. And I would be tempted to, but you guys can all see that, and it doesn't actually last very long, but it might just be enough to see us through this model. But anyway, we're gonna carry on. And I have I think I have. I think I've ordered some more brushes and what have you. So we have our base colour, Avalon Sunset. I'm going to shake a little bit of this up. I'm going to put some on to my wet palette, and then I went out today, and along with my, oh, you're going to love this, folks. You're going to love this. So we have a new and updated Racebone, brand new, fresh from, oh, look, you can hear it. It's all nice and liquid in there. We also have a new Wire Flesh, which is separate to the one that was cocked, so that it was forced open when I bought it from Hobbycraft. We also have Mephiston Red. Nice. Nuln Oil, and that is quite a significant one, because Nuln Oil is quite a is quite an important colour. But also, and most importantly, I went out today and I bought myself my very first Army Painter war paints. Now, I've heard mixed things about these guys. Some people say they are the best thing since sliced bread. Other people say, meh, kind of shit. And I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out. I'm going to actually see if it's any good, if I can get more of them. Because they do seem to be relatively well priced, which is a good thing. So yeah. Right, let me plug that in so that we can. Hi there, Majar. How are you? Gonna see if I can get more. Oh, excuse me. I'm just plugging my phone in so it's got some battery. More of the Army Painter range. my local game store, I picked this up today as a highlight colour for this. I don't know how well it's going to go, but it does look like it's going to work as a decent highlight colour to that. I don't know whether it's any good, so I'll have to see. And if it is, then I might look at getting more, because I have been looking to move away from Citadel and their horrible flip top pots, and move on to some dropper bottles. And these ones, you know, they're quite nice. They're, what are they, 12mm, same sort of size, is it? I don't know how many in there. 18mm in one of these, and these are 12mm, aren't they? So wow, same sort of price. Fanatic yellows are great. Excellent. Thanks for that, Leo. Really appreciate the advice. We'll be looking to see if we can mix some of this in as a highlight. Hopefully they go in all right, and we'll see how they come out. Right. Anyway, that is the plan. The plan is actually that we are going to take a tiny little bit of our contrast paint, and we are going to use it to glaze onto this yellow. Avaland has ochre pigment in there to cover. Yeah, I noticed the coverage on this base coat was really, really good. I mean, admittedly, I was painting it over yellow anyway, but that is a nice, smooth colour paint. So we're hopefully going to build on that. We're going to use a little bit of this contrast to shade it now, and then we're going to I'm getting to the point where I'm losing space on my desk that I need to free up some space. Let me just pop all of this stuff to one side now. And we'll come back to all of ye when I need you. I have also ordered myself a paint rack as well, because I never actually thought that I was going to spend too much more time in my life painting, but it has actually become quite an important part of my free time again. Right, so what I want to do here is to come along and just, instead of looking for the actual sort of contrast effect, I just want to run a little bit of this into the okay, excellent. Well, like I say, I do appreciate the advice. That's nice to have. And yeah, I'll be toying with what ranges I'm using. I've grown up using Citadel for the past 30 years, so making the transition to a different paint is a tricky thing for me. However, I'm not that happy with Citadel and the the horrible paint pots. So yeah, we'll be looking to possibly move on over time. It won't be a you know, one day a turnaround and that's it. I never use, well, in fact, actually it would be one day I would turn around and never use Citadel again, but only after I've transitioned to a different product over some time, most likely. So Leo, you have posted up on the Discord before, haven't you, with what you're working on? So what's your current project? What are you up to? What are you working on at the moment? Ah, that's it. Yes, the ruined statue. That was looking good. Feel free to you know, post your update pics, and I will get round to checking them. Obviously, me and Discord have a I will check it when I get round to it kind of relationship. But yeah. Right, so I'm just working a little bit of shade into some of the recesses on this helmet. I would like to put a piece in here, but not. I don't want to achieve any contrast effect. I just want to achieve a little bit of darker colouring. And I don't actually have a darker yellow, but that works. Adds a little bit of shading. Excellent. Let's have a little look at that then. Oh, the undercoat it pink. Yeah, I have. It is something I will do. I will attempt at some point. Hey, that's looking pretty good. Is that going to be the Emperor? Because I'm loving that. That looks really, really nice. Did you say you didn't have any green stuff? Is that what I... Yeah. I mean, for a statue, and I mean, you probably know this, mixing a little bit of green stuff in with your milliput allows you to get nice hard edges. It's looking fantastic. I love that. It almost looks like... Yeah? Yeah. What are you? What's your next thing that you might be sculpting? What are you thinking of plans wise? What's your next thing to attack? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Right. So we've done a little bit on the yellow now with shading. What's stopping you? What's stopping you from just painting? Right, now, moment of truth. Wet palette. Have I got enough water in there? Who knows? Have I never used this empty spot, and the thing that belonged there didn't exist? Right, yeah, absolutely. Then sculpt it up. Goku Gana, welcome to the stream and thank you for the follow. Appreciate that one. Right. Never used one of these before, so paint on wet palette. Now, as far as I know, as long as the paper remains in contact with the foam, it will allow the paint to draw water into it from below. But it won't also turn into a... Hey Soren, welcome back to the chat. You're basically done with your first mini. Oh, that's good to hear. So, do I now add water to the top of it to get it to the consistency that I want? The water below keeps it from drying out, I think, but I still need to make it the consistency that I want it with water on the top. I'm sure that's how it's supposed to work. Join me into the voyage of the unknown when it comes to a wet palette. Basically, you can spend a stream watching me stare at my wet palette. Brilliant. But you will be watching me stare at my brand shiny new wet palette because I am joining everybody else in the... Well, actually, wet palettes have been around since like 2015, probably, for miniature painting. Or at least that's when I first heard of them coming onto the hobby sort of scene. So, yeah, I'm only, 10 years behind everybody else. Which, considering I'm normally stuck in the 80s, is actually a massive improvement. Right, I'm just going to reapply some of our Avaland here. I'm trying to do sort of strokes down here, even that out. And then we'll go back and we'll add some of our demonic. Yeah, absolutely, Soren. I mean, this one was the Army Painter one that was in stock at my friendly local. I'd love to give them a shout out, but I don't want you all knowing where I live. But perhaps as we develop. Right, now. Time to add some of our new paint. This will be interesting because I have yet to ever experience Army Painter, and I'm just going to add a dollop there. It shouldn't come out like that, should it? We'll see. Now, I can come along and add a bit of water to all of these. Now, I just want to take a bit of this paint and mix it in. Okay, I don't know if I'm supposed to add water, but that is keeping it very, 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 very nice and liquid. So that's good. That's a good thing. Well, yes, Soren, take a trip into the city. They were not even either, so I'm considering. Yeah. Okay, I am quite liking that demonic yellow. That's a nice colour. Oh wow, seriously? You will have to excuse the fact that it is now actually, believe it or not, quite warm here in the UK. And so the window of the painting room, the hobby room, the broadcast room is going to have to stay open. Which means we have to put up with the neighbours' rowdy dogs. Now this top highlight down here, I want to apply it as a texture, so I want it to have just the most thinnest strokes that I can. I'm not using a perfect brush for it, but this is a little bit bigger than I would normally try and use for this sort of detail, but I don't want to switch just at the moment. I just want to see how we get on. Okay, that's added a almost texture there. Okay, yeah, and there's only so much of that I can take. But yeah, even so, it's getting warm in here, never mind. Okay. All right, I quite like that. It is the paint is staying liquid. I mean, that must mean it's working correctly, I guess. Just adding little tiny cross hatches here to simulate texture. Now I'm going to move on to the main face. I do want to keep the work on this bit here quite subtle. I don't want to go too hard on the highlights, because we are only going to do one or two here, and we're not going to take it all the way up to white, because then it's going to end up looking far too washed out and desaturated. Yeah, I have heard that about. I mean, I say I've heard it. I've seen it done with the pink, but I'm not sure I'm necessarily ready to try that one. I want to try a bit more traditional painting now. So we've stepped away from. We've put down the contrast paints, believe it or not, and we are working towards a basically traditional paint job here, just using some contrast for things like shading and base coating. So I'll run through the recipe because a couple of you guys haven't been on the stream for the whole thing. This one here, we originally painted the armour in Talisar blue, and I just wasn't happy with it. It wasn't coming out quite right. So I ended up painting a very, very thin coat of Macragge blue, the base colour, over the whole model, and it really put a nice sort of shade on the blue armour, and I was quite happy with that. I thought, oh, you know what, a couple of little highlights on there, and that's actually looking pretty good. And so we have, in effect, we painted Talasar blue over the armour at first, and then came along with the Macragge blue, and effectively we've overpainted the Talasar to the point where you can't actually see any of it. And then we've highlighted that up using the addition of Lightning Bolt blue, very old Citadel colour, and some ice blue as well added to the mix, and that has actually brought that armour tone up, looking really nice if I do say so myself, and I'm actually very happy with how that's come along. So that is our armour recipe going forwards. We have finally settled on an armour recipe. I know, it's amazing at long last. Now I don't know whether that looks a bit too sharp. We'll let it dry out. I'm not a fan of the snakebite leather, but it does appear to be quite good and smooth. This is the demonic yellow from the Army Painter, and it is actually looking to be quite good. As far as my favourite contrasts go, Gorgrunt Affair is a very good brown. I think it's an excellent brown for like leather effect. There are a couple of other really nice colours in the range, but I can't actually remember what they are at the moment. Talasar blue is a good one, very powerful. Right, I'm actually going to use my slightly smaller brush here for the final little dibs and dabs on it. Give me a second, Leo, and I will check that out. So yeah, general consensus is that this yellow is actually really nice. So yeah, give it a go. That's possibly looking a little bit too forced there. I might need to tone that back a little bit. That's what it is. We'll make do. Starting to look almost like a masked vigilante, you know, with the way that highlight is quite so stark there, so I might have to tone that back a little bit. That's all right, don't worry about it. the miniature painting thing will have to probably expand over time anyway, because, you know, Warhammer and other miniatures, it doesn't actually leave an awful lot of there's a lot of other topics which don't necessarily fit quite into that pigeonhole. So don't worry about where you've put it for now. If we need to, we can move the channel that it's in. But yeah, I'll have a look at it in a moment. Do you know, I've no idea how you're actually supposed to build up a highlight on the top of an Eldar dome bonce type thing. I don't know quite how that's supposed to work, but might be working now. I suppose these wet palettes are kind of the ultimate tool when it comes to wet blending as well, aren't they? Look at that, because I can just come in with a slight little bit of the other colour and work my way up to it, just the tip. Right, there we go. Do feel like I need to bring a little bit more of this Avaland back into the mix down here. Maybe we'll just see if we can feather this back in a bit so that it kind of blends. There we go. And then once we look at the getting the eyes done. Now, yellow helmet, blue armor. We are possibly going to have some. I must remember to keep my painting actually over the camera. We are probably going to have some red gemstones in there somewhere. What colour should the eyes be? That does ponder its own question. What colour would a Latok eyes be? And I don't actually know the answer. So how long does that sit there like that? I don't know. Fancy that. That's the first use of a wet palette on this channel. My first use of a wet palette. Majar, I'm sorry you feel that you had to ask that twice, but I did think I answered it. the yellow is very smooth. I'm actually liking that a lot. It's gone on quite nicely. Red eyes, red gems. I don't think blue and green gems would suit, so it's going to be red gems. I think we're going to limit it to this one on his arm, this one on his weapon, and this one on his chest. And then do the eyes. Now I'm not sure what to do for his little goofy face grill, because I seem to remember that I said I don't like them when they're left the same colour as the helmet, but I actually quite like that, where it's clearly the same material as the helmet, but it's recessed and indented, and so it's a slightly different shade. I think that works quite nicely. Okay. Let us try and paint some red things. Oh, look, here we go. This is our first use of this colour as well. Some of that on there. And then we're going to come in straight with quite a small brush, because we actually want to keep this quite nice and detailed. So this is our go-to 000 brush at the moment, which I'm liking for a lot of this detail work. Sorry, I'm butting the camera around as I'm trying to get a good angle to view it and control the brush. Which, that's gone slightly wrong, but we will cure that in a moment. Yeah, I'll come back with a little bit of yellow over the top of that one and just ditch that in, because that's, I suppose this will be a little bit of a test of the yellow here. That's very, very thin there. We can get a little bit more the actual paint well over there. And then because that was so thin, it's bled into the mouth section. Brilliant. There we go. That's not looking too bad. Right. Now, recipe-wise, we need a, what was it? It was lighter at the base, darker at the top with a dot, wasn't it? So I'm going to take a tiny bit of red, tiny bit of yellow, and as we all know, when you mix red and yellow, you get orange. Just gonna in with a tiny bit of yellow on that. Don't want to go too much because it's yellow below as well, which is quite difficult to keep the two separate. And then we need to add a tiny bit of black to the mix. Do you know what? I'd actually forgotten how much fun traditional painting with actual paints was, where you start to mix and match and pull your own colour tones in and what have you. Okay. Right. I'm just trying this one out on the eyes at the moment, just to see how we get on with it. Is that my normal white? Yes, it is. Right, moment of truth with this was always the most annoying part for me. Trying to get a dot of pure white in the top that's big enough to actually be seen, because that's tiny. There we go. 1. 2. Quite happy with that. So now I just need to replicate it on the gems. We're very nearly going to have this guy done. So, you need to take a little bit of red and go over each of these gems that we're going to do in this colour scheme. Oh, fingers are starting to slip on the painting handle. Isn't great. Let's Just remember where my middle of my screen is. Obviously this is the old Citadel recipe for gems, which I don't believe has actually changed too much over the years. I think it's still very, very similar to that, even in the sort of current editions. But we can do this one on his leg as well. Let ourselves do a few gems, shall we? But that's because it is an absolutely stunning visual recipe for doing gems. There's no argument for me. That is probably the best recipe anyone has ever come up for it. So I think we have maybe got a bit too much water in this palette. I remember where the middle of the screen is. God damn it. Yeah, I think there's a bit too much water in this here palette. Might have to, when we freshen it up or something, we'll make sure that we drain a bit of water. In fact, I think you can see there that, I don't know, actually, it doesn't actually appear to be that much water in there, so maybe we're all right. Let's have a continue with it. think maybe with these, if we just reapply a bit of the red through the middle, should make them look a bit poppier. Although the eye lenses have come out really nice, but these other bits can kind of they haven't, not as nice at all. Add our dots and be done with them. Still looking all right, to be fair. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, if I'm honest with you. I do wonder whether a tiny application of red contrast might work on this. Whether that's going to spoil them now. And I probably should have waited and done that. I say waited, I probably should have done that before I went on to do the dots, the white dots. So all that is actually left is to paint the butt of his pistol, which is kind of irrelevant, to be honest with you, and work out how we're going to do the base, because that guy is done, 100% done. I cannot do any more on that model. He is done. Da-da-dun. That is, I mean, how long has this taken us? How long have we been oofa-doofering about with this one? Let's just have a quick look. Excuse me. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our 5th session. Yeah. I'm extremely happy with how he's turned out. We can go on and turn that into quite a nice 2nd edition looking army, I think. Happy with the recipe there. Excellent. Right. Now, as I've said before, this guy doesn't actually feature in the army, so I am a little bit at a loss now as to what we're going to do for the rest of the stream. One thing I did want to very quickly try doing was adding some skill to our gun, because I'm not happy with the transitional shades on that. So what I'm going to do is add a tiny little bit of Agrax Earthshade, and I'm going to do it in a watered down thin coat, because I think it's not going to need a lot. I don't know how well this stuff would go on a wet palette, so it's not going to. It's going to go straight on my normal palette and just get thinned there. think this stuff takes water fine as a thinner. Right, just want to see if we can tune these colour transitions on here a bit better. Probably can, but I might need a little bit more agmax in there. And I think that's actually working quite nicely on there. Yes, Leo, thank you. It does seem to take quite a while, but it's actually very rewarding to do. I feel like I've given this a good fighting chance now of being an army that I like, an army that I can do, and an army that I can stick to doing. I think that does help that race bone a little bit. Don't know whether to come back with a final little edge highlight of race bone, but we went almost up to pure white with it anyway, and I think that was maybe the mistake. Maybe it just needed to tone back a little bit to get the race bone effect looking, and I think that's okay. I think that's where it should be. So at some point we're going to need to switch to doing the main army. But because they haven't been base coded yet, we can't do it right now. So we have kind of hit an impasse, and I can't do anything with the base because I haven't prepped this guy's base, and it wouldn't be the same because the base is going to be sprayed when I spray the model, so the base will all be undercoated as well. So I can't even experiment with what we're going to do on the base of this guy. So yeah, we have finally, at long last, done our sample. That's our paint scheme there. All that time over one plastic and metal 30-year-old Guardian. Oh well. I mean, it's not the greatest use of my time that I've ever had, but it's also probably not the worst as well. So, you know, swings and roundabouts, ups and downs. Okay, so if anybody wants to recap the iterations that we've gone through, we had our camo dude here, where we were basically chucking contrast paints all over the guy. We had a darkened one there where we put, I think that was Ultramarines blue, the contrast paint, which that to me doesn't look very very ultramarine-y. We've had various other ones, you know, this guy here who we actually quite liked the base armor on. These guys that you know, so we've done quite a few, as you can see, quite a few different models, different shades, different colours. It's been a good old time until finally we've reached this guy, who I think is quite a good, could have come out of the same sort of time scale as the Codex. Period correct, I feel. Even though we haven't necessarily used all the same techniques, the same paints and that sort of stuff. Now all I need to do is remember how I painted him. And believe it or not, before I started I actually had a notepad at the side of my desk where I was going to take notes about what I'd done and how I'd painted it, and then I completely forgot to do any of those notes. So thankfully I can remember most of what I did on this guy. We will soon find out when it comes to the next couple. Right. So we've been through and reviewed our army. We know what we're going to paint. We've now worked out how we're going to paint it. Cool. And now we've got all of our stuff bought and ready to actually do the painting. That's okay. That's okay. That was just the just the painting handle. So yeah, we need to now we need to crack on. It's basically going to be a short stream tonight. I had thought that yellow was going to take me a lot longer to do, but the demonic yellow was actually perfect. And all of these gems and what have you didn't actually take very long either. So I had planned that this was going to take a normal 2-hour stream, but it does actually appear that we're done. So as opposed to actually hanging it out at all, I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to have an early night. I've got D&D tomorrow, and I want to be uptown at a reasonable sort of time. Let's just switch. We haven't used this one for a little while. We'll switch here. So yeah, I'm off at a fairly early o'clock to head into town to do D&D. So I probably won't actually. I'll tell you what I might do is I might retreat now and use this time to spray some models. That sounds like a pretty good compromise, doesn't it? So I'll end the stream early and I'll go and spend an hour or so undercoating some models, and then when I come back on Monday, because I won't be able to do anything tomorrow, when I come back on Monday we'll be fresh as a daisy, ready to go with some models to paint. And boy, are you in for a treat with some of these models, because we do have actually no treat at all. They're all just basic Guardians, essentially. We do have a Farseer though, so that's a nice little piece. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for dropping by. I'm sorry for the shortened stream, but needs must. And I'll go and make sure that we're prepped for the next one. Have a lovely rest of your weekend, and I will see you again on Monday. Thanks very much, folks. Take care and goodbye.